Hello friends, very good evening and very good morning, those who are in a different time zone. So it is 10 p.m. here and we have started our today's Moonlighting session where we do vibe coding and we build micro-saas apps and mobile apps using Google Gemini 2.5 Flash model or Pro models, like any of it. So I'm very excited to start my today's session. And so before I start sharing my screen, I have a request that if you have any questions, doubt, thoughts, anything, or you just want to chat anything in general, please use our chat window because this is a live stream. We are connected live. You can ask me any questions and I can answer you directly over the chat. Okay, so let me start with today's session. Okay, so what we are gonna build today, right? So in my previous vibe coding session, which happened just day before yesterday, I have done some sort of a very warm-up exercise of using VS Code with Gemini 2.5 Pro model to build some sort of an app, which was channel I'm using English as my main language to do my tutorials. Okay, so today we are gonna build this travel planning app that will be built using Flutter, right? So I'm very excited to build this travel planning app, and let me share a little bit story behind this app. So it was actually very first company. So I was a freelancer. Okay, when I started immediately when I finished my engineering, I started doing freelancing, and I was doing like some projects, and one of the company which had me first as a freelancer, I did a small job for them, and they sort of liked my work and so on, and then I started working for them as a full-time employee, as a junior Ruby on Rails developer. Okay, and where I was working for this travel startup, right? So they had at the time, which is almost like 10 years back, okay, they had a very cool feature called itinerary timeline, right? And the UI of it was built by me, and it was quite a pain, right? So I was quite inspired by that idea of having selected your destination, right, your source and destination, and then the app itself will generate a timeline for you where it will suggest where to stop by, where to do the sightseeing, where to have a breakfast, where to have a layover, and so on, right? So some sort of that in a very loose idea, I'm gonna build this travel planning app. Okay, my intention is not to copy the exact same thing, but of course, because I had worked on this app earlier, so I'm gonna definitely have some inspiration that is going to affect how the app will come out. By the way, since we are in 2025 and Gen AI is all the craze, so I'll definitely try to implement some Gen AI features, if not make it like a native Gen AI kind of app, right? So let's see. I mean, this is vibe coding and we don't have any plans, we don't have any sort of like Figma designs and so on, and everything is just as it flows with the vibes, right? So I hope the context is set, and let's start building this app. So before we actually build this app, you have to make sure that you have few components installed on your computer. One is something called Android Studio, right? Because this is gonna be a Android app, so you need to have Android Studio installed. So I'm just gonna open a sample app which I built just for testing something. So this sample, so this is how Android Studio, the UI of Android Studio looks, okay? And where I have actually created, because my primary mobile is an iPhone, so I have actually built a sort of a emulator to emulate testing my Android apps. All right, so you need these two bare minimum things. You need Android Studio and you need an emulator connected to run the app, right? Because Flutter is gonna use this emulator to run your app. Okay, and if you have any question along the way, please ask me over the chat and I'll try to respond it. Okay, so with that away, let me close my Android Studio, and I'm going to actually launch Visual Studio Code, right? And let me close my old project. Okay, and so I'm going to add a new folder to this workspace. I'll quickly create a project. Okay, and let's call it travel planning and add it here. So if you see my this directory, right, it's empty. This folder, travel planning folder, is completely empty, and this is where we're gonna keep all the code for this Flutter app, right? And as you guys know that I'm quite a bit user of Cline as an AI agent, which helps me do vibe coding, and I use it with my Google Gemini model. Okay, and it has connected to some wrong model here. It was supposed to be connected to either my Google Gemini, so let's quickly do that, and we're gonna use Google Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay, and initially I'm gonna keep it on the plan mode. So as you know, Cline has two modes, plan and act mode. In plan mode, it cannot edit any files, write any files, delete any files. It's just like a chat where we sort of create plan, and where we set the context for Gemini, that what we are gonna build, how we're gonna build, do all sort of a planning. Okay, so let's do that planning now, and I'm going to whatever I have in my mind, right? Whatever I have some vague idea about this app, I'm just gonna dump it to the Gemini, and after that, I would ask it, right? I would take Gemini's help to come up with a development plan, right? A very categorized development, a very structured development plan, which will have like various milestones, so we can keep track of our progress, right? In case this session, in case this app does not get completed within this session, it may go to multiple sessions. So we need some sort of a way to track where we are and so on, right? So that's what we're gonna do using Google Gemini in our plan mode. So let's do that. I'm going to build a Flutter app for travel itinerary. This app will ask user resource and destination, and it will generate our travel itinerary. So if I'm messing my spellings here, itinerary, travel itinerary. So because we are building a Flutter app, so Firebase is actually a very good choice for supplying the backend, for example, the database and things like that, right? So I'm giving it that option that if you need to have a necessary backend, then try to go with Firebase. Okay. All right, so I'll quickly read through my prompt. I'm going to build a Flutter app for travel itinerary planning. This app will ask user the source and destination, and it will generate a travel itinerary, which will be displayed as a timeline with things like sightseeing, snack breaks, layover, etc. I need your help to build a development plan for this app. For the backend, use Firebase where necessary. Create a new file, develop.md, to write down your structured development plan based on milestones for tracking the progress. Right? Very straightforward, very natural language prompt. There is nothing complicated or any very code specific thing going on here, right? So let's fire away our prompt and wait for Gemini 2.5 Pro to respond. And by the way, this is live streaming, so I cannot fast forward these kind of things where it takes a bit of time, there is some lag and things like that. So I'm not apologizing, but letting you know that this is kind of a deal with these live streams, that there may be sometimes you have to really hold your patience, but yeah, you can definitely chat with me and things like that. Anyways, so let's quickly go through it. There is quite a lot to unpack. Of course, building a travel itinerary plan with Flutter and Firebase is an excellent choice. Here's a structured development plan, broken down milestones, track the project's progress, developing plan for the travel itinerary. Okay, seems okay. Okay, what do you think of this plan? We can adjust it based on priorities. If you are happy, please ask me to toggle. So I cannot read it properly within this like crammed up space. I want it to write the file, so I'll and because it's an MD markdown file, so that is where I will find it very easy on my eyes to read it, right? So what I'm gonna do is as Gemini itself is prompting me to change to the act mode, right? So we're gonna switch over to the client's act mode, where it can write files, edit files, delete files, and so on, right? So I'm gonna switch it to act mode, and just by clicking on the button, Gemini knows that I've changed my mode, and it is capable of writing the files, and which is what it is doing right now. Okay, so let's wait for it to finish writing the file, and I think it's done. And the very good thing about Cline is that it asks me permission. I have written the file. You want to save it or reject it, and here I have like a diff view which I can see what has been added, and here we go, right? So we have a milestone here. So okay, so it has already gone ahead and started building the app. We'll do that, but before that, let me just quickly go through this milestone and see if there is something which is something that I immediately want to change. Okay. This plan outlines the key milestone for building the travel itinerary plan. We'll start with setting up the project, foundational UI, project initiation, Firebase integration, home screen, basic navigation, authentication, data modeling, yes, very necessary, cloud functions, Google Maps, yes, I think we're gonna need Google Maps API, so yes, that would be required. Okay, itinerary generation algorithm. Okay, let's see, storing the itinerary. Yes, itinerary visualization. Okay, so it has actually got the gist of our app, right? Of course, since we don't have any Figma, we don't have a screen design, we don't have user flow or user stories, so we exactly don't know like exactly what it will be, but we have some loose the structure of this app, or sorry, flow of this app, right? Which looks fine, and based on that, I'll just give it a go. So let's hope for the best and go. So it is creating the Flutter app. By the way, to do this, is it done? It's done. Oh, it created for iOS. Right. Actually, I wanted to test it for Android first, but I'm okay to test it on iOS also. That's not a problem. But in the chat, I would really like to know if shall I go ahead with iOS, because that is like the default configuration here, or I should first build it for Android, test it in Android. I mean, I would go with your preference. If you have any preference there, please let me know over the chat. Okay, so as we can see here, it has created this directory travel underscore app, and this is entire Flutter app here, right? So as if you're already a Flutter developer, you will recognize this entire project setup, right? So this is a Flutter app, and it has just created like a boilerplate for the Flutter app, and then it is creating further directories to write more code, right? So let me run this command as well, and let's wait, because it is still not finished. When it finishes its task, it will send out a green message, right? Which it has not done yet. So I think I have to wait for that green message to actually go ahead and try to run the app or test the app, and till that time I'll just wait and watch. Okay, so I don't want to create a new project. Instead, I want to reuse my existing project, and there is some issue happened, a slight issue, which is that it could not get the list of my existing projects from Firebase. So for that, I just need to re-authenticate it for Firebase. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is run okay, first thing is, I know that for some reason Firebase does not like the normal node version, which is default version on my system. So that's why I have to first change my node version for this app to version 20. Okay, and then I guess the project list should already work, because today only I was working, and yeah, and it is authenticated, so it will work. So I think that should be fine. So what I'm going to do is copy this command, because it was failed last time, and I'm going to run this command by myself. Okay, there's a problem. We were already in the travel app directory, so I don't need to do that. I can just run this flutterfire command. And this time it already knows the project. Okay, so I have added this project, and I'm gonna so I actually built it for all of those by mistake, but I think wait, let me try it again. So yeah, this project, and okay, let's do one thing. Let's keep it for both Android and iOS at the same time. Okay, although the bundler identifier could have been a bit different, because it may fail. For iOS, it will most likely fail. So yeah, okay, it has actually registered these two projects, so that's good. Right, so what just happened? Okay, I'll just quickly describe what I did and what Gemini was giving this command for. Okay, so basically, because we are integrating Firebase with our Flutter app, right, for the backend, and what I guess right now it's gonna use authentication and also the Firestore, the storage, and all from the Firebase, right? So it need to link these apps, right, these Android iOS apps, to a particular project which is in Firebase. So either it would create a new project, or either it can use an existing project to link it, and I have just used my existing project to link it with that, right? And all this is actually completely free. So if you are following me, and if you want to do, you don't have to pay anything. You just need to have a Firebase account created, and then you have to have a Firebase CLI installed, right? By the way, Gemini is very smart. It is smart enough to guide you through all those steps in case you are missing these steps, right? Or otherwise, if you're not very sure, you can follow my another tutorial. But it is in Hindi in my another channel, where I have actually gone through all of these steps in very detail of installing the Firebase, setting up Firebase, and so on. right? If you have questions, if you have doubt, please use the chat window, ask me any questions, and I'll definitely try to help you as much as I can, right? This video, these live streams, these vibe coding sessions, moonlighting sessions are not for just watching or entertainment, right? I call them moonlighting session because it is for building stuff, right? It is for moonlighting, right? So if you're working in a company or you're preparing for your software development career, right? So you can be connected with me live over moonlighting sessions and build these things with me, right? And use the chat window to ask any questions, doubts, and so on. All right. Okay, so going on ahead, I'm gonna tell Gemini that Flutter configuration command has been run successfully, because I had actually ran this command out of its linked terminal, so it does not know the output of it, right? I had ran it manually, so I have to let it know that configure command was run successfully. Okay, so that it knows that where we are. Right. So it's gonna read our main dart file, because of course it want to make the changes according to our project, whatever is necessary, right? And while it goes, it started writing a lot of code, which is basically the Firebase initialization. And has started building an entire home screen of our app. By the way, guys, I don't know Flutter. I mean, I don't know, as in I have not built any production ready application on Flutter yet. Okay, so for this app, I'm completely relying on Google Gemini 2.5 Pro. But I have done a lot of programming. I'm a programmer. I have worked with multiple programming languages: Ruby on Rails, Java, Node.js, Golang, right? PHP, of course. So I have, and Python a lot, and I have a lot of understanding how the code flows work and things like that, right? So I'm not a novice programmer. I'm like a decent programmer, but this Flutter Dart thing, not very much. So yes, when I read the code, I understand the intention, what it is doing. But if you're gonna take my interview and ask me like all the down to the compiler level questions about it, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. Anyways, so oh cool, so we see a lot of done here. Do you see these done? That means Gemini has actually completed the milestone 1 project foundation and core UI. That's great. So of course I'm very eager to test it, because sometimes it thinks it has done those things, which could be partly correct, but then when I check it, then it sometimes does not match my expectation at all, and then I have to let it know that no, there is a lot to be done still, and keep making progress. Anyways, so that's how we do vibe coding. We give it a command, it does something, and then we have to test it, we have to run the app, and we have to check it by our own eyes and test it like a user, and keep giving it feedback, and it will keep improving over the app, right? So that's the process here. Okay, let me use the markdown editor to see what it has done. Yeah, here it's better. Integration, home UI, okay. Home screen, implement main screen, source and destination, generate itinerary button, basic routing system. Okay. Okay, so how do I run this app? I guess I gotta do Flutter run. Okay. So one thing I am gonna do is I'm going to actually launch my emulator. Okay, it's the same emulator which is launched from that Android Studio, right? Which you can launch. So here I've used the CLI command to launch my emulator, right? So that's there, and I'm going to shrink this VS Code window a little bit so that I can see emulator at the same time. Okay. Yeah. So if you guys have any doubt, question, that you cannot see anything, text is not large enough and things like that, So please let me know. I'll try to help you there. Okay. Right. So okay, where is that? Yeah. Travel app, right? So we'll cd into travel app, if I could spell right, and we're gonna run the Flutter app. And since already my let's see, okay, it's running Gradle task, then it is definitely trying to run it in on Android, which is good, because initially my idea was to test it on Android, and there we have an issue, I guess. Okay, failed. So I have actually struggled with this issue earlier, so I know how to fix that problem. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my pubspec YAML. No, where was it? No. No. This option. No. My Gradle. So I have to actually specify my NDK version, which is it is trying to take it from some environment variable which is not set, and I could not figure out for the life of me why it is not set. So let me ask Gemini. I am getting this error. Okay, and I'm gonna paste the error. Tell me, where do I set my NDK version? Okay, right. Android app build.gradle. Yeah, this one. See this flutter.ndk version. I don't know where it picks this variable from, flutter.ndk version, and it is set to some wrong value. So I'm just gonna not this. I'm just gonna use this version which it is talking about. Okay, and that should fix this. You may or may not face this issue, so it is not something that you need to do, right? So I'm just gonna try to run the Flutter run again and hope that this time the build will be successful, and we'll see our app getting compiled for the Android simulator. Oh, and it failed again. And this time and now it is complaining for the min SDK version. So these sort of issues are actually quite prevalent for Android, right? You have to set up your SDK version, NDK version, and so on. So that you cannot really blame on Gemini, because it is like which Android studio you have installed, which version, what SDK you have, and things like that, right? So that's completely okay. Again, I guess it is picking the min SDK version from this Flutter environment variable, which I don't know where it's coming from. So I'm just gonna change it to 23 because that's what it is suggesting here, right? min SDK to at least 23. So I have done that. Let's see if it solves the issue. By the way, if any of you is better Flutter programmer, and I'm really open to your advice and feedback, like what is a good way to fix these kind of issues. For example, these Flutter dot environment variables, like what is the proper way to set these variables, because I don't know. Okay, so anyways, let's hope for our app to build this time, and so that we can test it running on our Android emulator. And as I said, this is a live stream. There is a lot of moments where things will be happening on the screen, and I really cannot do anything else. I have to wait for it to happen. For example, the app getting compiled, it takes time, right? There is a Gradle build process running, which is Java compilation and things like that. And so here we have it, right? Here we have our this is not the app which I was sort of imagining, right? So it is Gemini has created like a very basic kind of a UI, which is okay, because this is something which we are just starting with, and of course we'll keep on refining it. We'll keep on changing slowly, right? So if okay, this is Android's UI. It is asking me to do all these stuff which I don't want to do, so let's ignore that. If I write something like London, okay, as you might expect, we need some sort of autocomplete feature, right? And if we click generate itinerary, and this is the itinerary screen, right? So this is like what we call it, like backbone of our app, right? It will have these two screens. The first is a home screen, and then you will give the relevant information in the screen, and then the next screen will be itinerary screen, where it will display the detailed plan, right? So we have just got like a two screen setup working, which is good. And because that's what Gemini has mentioned, that as per it has done the milestone 1, which is the core UI, right? So it thinks according to it, the core UI is this much, which I don't agree completely, but let's see. I will let it drive this app for a little while by its own, and I'll see where it is going. If I'll see if it has started taking it in a completely different direction that I had thought for, there I will come, I will tell it, I think there is something else that we need to do, and so on, right? So anyways, want to read this file. Okay, so leave it. All right, so let me quickly see what is the next milestone. Is planning user authentication. Okay, I'm actually not very interested in user authentication for this for right now, because authentication is like, it's a very normal thing to have in every app. There is no fun thing there, right? There's no fun stuff, and I don't want to spend a lot of time in implementing authentication at this point in time. Because I am very filled with energy about this app. I'm very hyped up about this app. So first I want to build the core features of this app, which is itinerary, right? Itinerary generation engine, itinerary visualization. These are the things which are of high interest to me right now. Okay. So I'm going to instruct that from your milestone, pick the next milestone, right? The next milestone is actually user authentication. So I'm not telling it to take the milestone 2. I'm telling pick any other next milestone that is core features like itinerary generation and itinerary planning, and defer things like user authentication and these kind of housekeeping stuff for a little while, right? We'll come back to it, but after a little while. First we want to work on the interesting stuff. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna tell it. Yeah, the app is compiled for, sorry, I misspelled compiled for Android, and I can test it in, I think it's called emulator for Android and simulator for iOS. I don't know why they call different, but that's how it is. It an emulator. I know like simulator is within the hardware, it simulates the entire sort of the machine code and everything within the same hardware, and emulator is completely at a software level, right? So this is like a very fundamental difference, I know, but you know, there could be much more nuance to it. Anyways, compile for Android, and I can test it in an emulator. So go ahead with building this app, but choose the next milestones with go features like itinerary. What is this kind of itinerary? Yeah. Itinerary, planning and visualization. Not vacation. Visualization and defer the authentication, etc. for later. Okay, so again, a very layman like prompt, right? A natural language prompt, nothing very code specific, nothing about telling about like, you know, this screen, that screen. So I hope Gemini will understand what I'm trying to get here, right? I want to first work on these itinerary planning and these sort of visualization and these screens, and I want to wait for the authentication for a little while, and I hope Gemini will understand my thoughts here. Of course. So it will actually adjust the entire develop MD plan itself. Okay. Oh, it has renamed the milestone move 3 to 2. Okay, I was not expecting that, but that's fine. And it has actually moved authentication to milestone 4 and made milestone 2 as itinerary generation engine. And so basically it has just shifted down that milestone, which is okay, I guess. Right, so yeah, let it go. Let it keep doing its own thing. It has started adding files. It has added some timeline item model which does not even exist, and of course the next step is it's gonna create that, because otherwise the import was failing. So by the way, sometimes I feel or I think like when we code, right, so looking at Gemini coding, I sometimes try to compare it, you know, how I code and you know the things that it does. For example, just now it first imported a file which was not present at all. Oh, it started creating Firebase functions also, right? So it has created a package.json, and I got confused like why there is a package.json in a Flutter file, Flutter app, because it is actually creating a cloud function, right? So yeah, it is creating a cloud function, and that cloud function will spin up in the Google, Firebase cloud, right? And so our app will make call to that cloud function. Cloud function will do its programming, and by the way, that is serverless, right? So it's gonna charge us when it is not doing anything, and it will only charge when it will do. And it, because it has added that dependency, so it's running pub-get. Makes sense, right? So yeah, it's doing its own thing, and I'm letting it do that. And let's see where it will take the app. By the way, guys, if you have any question, any doubts, please use the chat window, ask me any question, or just chat about anything in general. I'll be happy to respond. And just to remind you again, this is not for watching, it's for doing, right? You open your laptop on your side and just follow me, follow along. And if you have any doubt, see any error that you cannot resolve by yourself, you can ask me over the chat. I'll try to help you as much as I can, right? Again, I'm looking at few done here. I get quite nervous because it just takes like a couple of minutes and start telling done. Oh, okay. So let's read through what it has actually done. I've set up the foundation for the itinerary generation feature. The app can now call a cloud function which can return the dummy itinerary and save it to faststore. The app then displays the itinerary already. Okay, enable the Google Maps. To proceed with the actual itinerary, you need to enable Google Maps Spaces API, add your API key, deploy the cloud function. I have laid the groundwork for these. Completed. Backend implement. You can proceed with the backend implementation. Okay, so this is some sort of a cheating because it is telling it has created like a dummy itinerary for us and left entire backend implementation to do by ourselves. And I'm not gonna leave it at that. I'm definitely gonna hold its collar and tell no, you have to do the backend implementation. That's not I'm not gonna do anything. So we'll come to that, but I think the dummy itinerary should be fine because it sort of establishes a contract that cloud function will send over to this Flutter app, right? And then we can sort of build some sort of a UI using this dummy information, and that's like a very common practice where if you have a backend developer who is building a API and there is a front developer who has to build a UI. So before backend API actually is live, they share some API sample data with the front end team, so they would know exactly that okay, this is the kind of data we will receive, and they plan the entire code of their front end to absorb that same sample JSON, so that at a later point in time when actual data will come, so everything will be in place. And somewhat that kind of a strategy we are doing here, right? Cloud function is gonna send some dummy itinerary to us, and we're gonna build some initial basic UI around that itinerary. Okay, so far so good. Do I need to test the app? I guess so. Let me rerun the app. By the way, if there's a cloud function, so I have to run that cloud function also, at least run the local version of it. If I click generate itinerary, what happens? Nothing is happening. Let's say again, London to Peru. There's some error, not found. It is but obvious because I am pretty sure it is not able to hit to the cloud function because it is not running anywhere. Unknown calling package name, right? Let me copy this error and try to ask it that I'm getting this error now. Where is the actual error? Yeah, this one. Calling package name, this thing. Okay, I'm getting this error. Resolve it for me. Okay. So we tried to click generate itinerary. We faced an error, and I'm asking it to resolve that error for me. And it's gonna do a bunch of things now. Why it is gonna sign report? Google Play services authenticator problem with SHA-138 fingerprint. Okay. So let's run the command that it's asking me to run. And let's see what it will do. It's not doing anything because I have to go to my Android folder and the Gradle is here, and I'm gonna do this. So I'm just following what Gemini is telling me, like nothing that I'm doing anything extraordinary here. It is generated some sort of a keys, I guess. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, I have ran the sign report command. What next? Okay, click on the gear icon in your app card, select another app, add fingerprint, and paste the fingerprint you copied. Download the latest file and replace the existing one. So it says within Android app directory. Yeah, there's already a Google services JSON, which was created using Flutter, I guess. I'm not sure why it's not working. AI wallpaper. Okay, okay, let's follow what it says. That's fine. Android debug key. So this is alias Android debug key. Okay, everything is Android debug key. Variant debug. This one. I'd copy the SHA-1 value, which is this one, and in your apps card, select your Android app and click on add fingerprint. Okay, so let me go to my Firebase console. Let's see this gear icon. Yeah, this travel app. Add fingerprint, right. So I'm gonna use this SHA-1 fingerprint and adding it here. Save. Right, and it's asking me to download this Google services JSON. That's what it said, right? Download and replace it there. Okay, so let's do that. This Google services JSON, I'm going to replace here, place, and this is what we got after replacement, right? This should be the replaced one. Once you've done that, please try running the app again and let me know if error is gone. Okay. So as it says, let's try running the error again. Sorry, not error, the app again. And I have to come out of the Android for that and run Flutter run. So why we are facing this issue, right? We are trying to call a Google API, okay? And that requires some sort of a security signing, some handshake, and which is not happening, right? So for that, we needed to add, some fingerprint of our application to that API. Sorry, not the API, to the Firebase. Okay, not long now. Peru. Is the error still seen? It's the same error. Unknown calling package name, blah blah blah. I'm still getting the same error. So let's see what it suggests next. It is telling to do the clean and pub get again. So let's do that now. And let's do the Flutter run. Guys, I don't bother if I'm facing a lot of issue, and in this particular live stream I just keep debugging the issue, right? Because the whole point of doing these kind of streams is to sort of give you a first-hand experience how a developer works, right? How somebody, even though you are doing vibe coding or any kind of coding, you will face issues, you will face bugs, you will face errors, and you need to spend a lot of energy just to resolve these issues, right? So which is what any developer need to do, and they should be always ready to do that. Okay, so let's keep going and let's keep testing our app. Okay, one thing I see, there is this marker which says Firebase function is not found. And there is this GMS thing also. Which is a security exception. Okay, let's tell it about this another error now, and let's see what it has to tell for that. So I'm also facing this issue. No, this one. This one was. Okay, just to letting it know like what exactly we are seeing in the logs. Maybe I'm not giving it the entire story properly. Error indicates that cloud function has not been deployed. To fix this, you need to deploy. Yeah, I guessed it. Of course, we did not have the function running anywhere, so that after the deployment is complete, the app will be able to call the function successfully. You will need to have install and So I know because I have used Firebase earlier, so I think, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We need to deploy the function. Right, so where is the directory? It is in travel app. So functions, cd functions, and there is our function, right? So I think in the parent directory itself, we can deploy, because Firebase JSON is here. So yeah, we should be able to deploy this functions. And again, it does not like the node version which I was earlier, so I have to switch over to node 20. Okay, what targets to deploy serves? Only functions. No targets in Firebase. Firebase JSON match, only functions. Okay, cool. Let me copy this error and ask it next. While running, just getting another issue. Okay, let's see. So again, guys, it's a live stream, so you can ask me any questions or doubt if you have, if you're following this tutorial and you're facing the same kind of issues. And it has removed everything. It shouldn't do that. Is it good I remove everything else? I don't know. If it doesn't work, then I'll just ask it to revert that. Because the app is being built by the AI, right? It's a vibe coding. So it's not that I'm building it manually. So I'm completely relying on AI. Whatever it want to do, I'm just trying to facilitate it. And again, we are failing. No currently active project. Run this command, project ID. Okay, so it says you need to add a project with project ID. And for that, let me list out my projects again. So I'm gonna use this project ID and what was that again? hyphen project. Okay, and the project name, I guess. Right. So now we are deploying a function, and it failed. Cannot find module run and install. So within our functions directory, because we have a Node.js app, right? It has index file and packages on. So we need to run npm install before trying to deploy this function, right? This is a standard way to deploy the cloud functions. So we have to follow that process. We have to first run npm install within the functions directory, and then we can deploy the function. All right, coming out of that and try again. So within our Firebase, we are actually deploying a cloud function, which is a serverless, way of deploying a Node.js app. So whenever our app is going to hit our cloud function, it's gonna process that and return us a response, which is a Node.js app, right? So it is as it is mentioning that creating Node.js 18 function right? So that's what it is. It's a simple Node.js app being deployed on a serverless cloud function on Firebase. And I'm just waiting for it to completely install this function, so that I'm gonna again click on generate itinerary, and it's going to hit that cloud function. And for now, just return me a dummy itinerary, using which, of course, the next screen, which is the itinerary details screen, can be rendered with those dummy information. And then at later point, we can make that function, and here we have it. We have this generate itinerary function ready. Okay, let's try to see it within our dashboard. So we go to functions, and yeah, so we have got this function here, right? There's that function, generate itinerary, which is just got deployed, right? So within our Firebase console, we have just deployed a cloud function within the command we just used, right? Nothing too much out of ordinary or anything like that. Okay, so with that, we are gonna run our app again, and just to make sure, I'm gonna just close and rerun the app just in case. Okay, so London to Peru. Okay, still we are facing some error, and let's see what they're about. Firebase functions internal. Okay, I'm feeling a bit lost. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new file and dump my entire log in this file, and of course remove the bits which I know are not of any use, which are these till this point. Okay, and I'm going to save it outside the app here and call it debug.log. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference this log file in my chat and ask Gemini to take a look at it itself and try to figure out what's wrong, what's going on there. And for the time being, I can just kill the app. Okay, I have shared the entire log for this app. Run this app test run. File run in file. My observation is that when I click generate itinerary button, it is loading and then does not show any itinerary. But it stays in the same screen. Okay, I'm just again trying to use some natural language and trying to make it understand what is that I'm observing while I'm testing it, and it can of course access the logs to see what is going on. Please try to identify what's going on. Also add some necessary logging to debug this issue. Okay, and fix it. Right, so let's see. After providing the entire log file itself, right, let's see what it will identify. Okay, so it actually added few logs which will help us understand where the issue is occurring. And let me read a little bit what it has mentioned. So this error occurs where the Cloud function call fails on the server side. The log shows this error right before the app tries to navigate. This is the primary reason why app stays. It's likely a secondary issue or symptom of the same root cause. And strong indicator that's the problem fingerprint. The user mentioned that the app stays on the same screen. Okay, so it has added some logs, so which will help us understand, when we read these print messages, we will know where the issue is occurring, and that will help us identify the root cause of this issue. So what we are doing is actually root cause analysis, and this is for any programmer, any developer. This is like, and yeah, we need this within this log file itself also, which is good within this Cloud function also. So I guess I gotta deploy this Cloud function again because we have added these logs. Okay, so as it advised, with these logs added, let's deploy our Cloud function again, because we just made some code change, so we just need to update our Cloud function. And the changes are that we have just added few logs to identify where the issue might be. And as well as there are some print statements added for us to identify within the app run what issues might be happening, right? So no fix has been applied in this step. It is just we have added logging to understand at what step things are breaking, what might be causing it to break, right? So that's what debugging, a standard debugging procedure is there, right? And you might ask, why is it that we are going through so much pain? Why we are? Because guys, there is a bunch of things happening, and we have to actually be very thankful to the technology, especially the cloud technology, that a lot of things which is happening here has been quite simplified for us. So we have to understand what's going on. Your Firebase app is trying to hit a server in the backend, right? And the server has to process the request and send out a response. And we are trying to do it in the serverless way, right? Which is the new cloud native way where you can optimize your cost, because otherwise what you have to do is you have to keep a server running all the time, and which will keep incurring cost throughout the month, right? So every second the server is running, you're gonna incur a cost. But in the cloud functions, it only runs, so sort of when the request goes, it wakes it up, it runs, processes it, sends it back, and goes back to sleep, right? So that way it's not running all the time, and it is saving a lot of cost. So that is one thing. So these and Firebase has made it very easy to do all of this via CLI here, right? So we don't have to go to like AWS panel and things like that. Also, although on AWS also you can do it through their CLI and all, right? But this is like a Flutter app, an Android app is trying to make a call to a backend to do some processing, and once this process is complete and it is working and it is in place, right, we will make the progress within the app very, very fast. Because if we have to just work on this Android app, this UI layer, then it does not really take that much effort. And the component that requires within our cloud function, we need to work on that a fair bit, because we are going to integrate the Maps API, Places API, and so on, right? So there is still a healthy amount of work remaining to be done, and let's see. So we are doing web coding, we're using Google Gemini Pro, and let's see where it will take us. So the cloud function is deployed, and I'm running the app again, this time with the logs, with these printf statement added. So we'll know where the issue is, what's going on there. Oh, every time I'm missing out on the spelling of London to Peru. Okay. Click generate itinerary again. Man, I expect it to fail again because there is nothing that we have done to fix that issue anyways. Uh, uh, um. So what I'm gonna do again is just copy the entire log and share it with Gemini again. So that it has added these system print statements and it will know where it has added it and so on. But I have to identify which is the latest log. I hope to not give it the old logs again. Wait a second. Copy it again. Paste, remove the unnecessary lines to save some tokens and save it again. I did another run and save the logs in the debug.log file. Please review it. The observation is same. Okay, meanwhile it's doing that, I'm gonna check the logs for my cloud function. To see if we can catch something here. Permission denied. Okay, great. So there you have it. We have a problem within our cloud function which is related to permission. Error creating itinerary. So okay, the issue is within this where is the index file? Within this cloud function, it is trying to save save the information within Firestore, right? Firestore collection.add, and it does not have the permission to call Firestore, right? So now we have identified one issue, right? It might be the only issue which is causing this error, right? Once we solve this issue, maybe the app will start working. I don't know, but this is definitely an issue and it's quite a major one. Permission denied, right? These permission issues are quite breaking. They tend to break your app like definitely. But I'm not sure if just fixing this will actually solve the problem. But let's hope that by solving this, we'll resolve the issue. So if you enable the API recently. Okay, it says I have not even enabled the Firestore API yet. Okay, that should be very easy to do. I can just come here in my Firestore database, and it might be right. So I'm still seeing this get started thing. So I have to just, I think, click on this create database once. And let me start it in test mode. Just for a very quick setup, I'm doing it in test mode. Right? So we have got our Firestore is started, right? And now I think if I try the same thing without doing anything else, because the cloud function will again try to hit Firestore and maybe it will seamlessly work. I'm not sure. Let's test it, because earlier it was not even there. So let's try it again. Anyways, I want to see the another log. Is it still giving permission denied? Okay, let's visit this link directory. Let's see if it is enabled. So API is enabled, so that's not a problem anymore. Okay, so it just said if you have enabled this API recently, wait a few minutes for the action to propagate. So is waiting the only solution? Let's see. Let's see. Let's try to run it again. Server, you belonging. I think you're Indian. Yes, I'm Indian. So I and K is asking, are you Indian? Yes, of course I'm Indian. Like, why do you ask that? Wait, why do you ask that? Okay. Let's try again. And we're gonna check the logs one more time. $23.18, yes, it still says permission denied, but this time it says a bit different. It says missing or insufficient permissions. Okay, this I think we can take Gemini's help to identify why it might be the cause. Yeah, I checked the logs on cloud function. So I said, Anki says, I get it from your accent. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to hide. I checked the logs on cloud function. And I'm getting this error. I have enabled the Firestore API already. Oh, not at all, man. It's not a distraction, it's it's a help. Because who want to do this like sort of vibe coding where, you know, AI is doing all the work and what you're just sitting and watching? No. And see here, we got some Firestore rules that were missing. That's why we were actually getting this error. Okay. So we were supposed to add some rules for the Firestore, which is what Gemini has just added. And so we are hoping adding these Firestore rules is going to solve the problem again. Okay, great. So it has given us this command to run again. And I'm gonna set the project EY venue. Okay, so again this FNM, changing the node version. And so what I just did is AI has added some new rules for our cloud store in a rules file and updated the Firebase JSON. So I'm just redeploying these Firestore rules. That's all. That's about it. So we are still trying to fix the issue that so right now, by the way, we are not fixing any issue within our Flutter app. We are actually fixing the issue in our cloud function itself. So that's why you are seeing me looking at the logs within this cloud function to identify the issue. Okay. All right, let's go London to Peru again. Generate itinerary. That's fine. Filter the logs. So the logs can only help you. Whenever you're facing any issue, the only thing that can help you is logs. If you don't see logs, without seeing logs, if you attempt to solve the issue, you'll never reach anywhere, and you'll actually waste a lot of time. And the problem is that the log here, this log itself is not very helpful. It just says missing or insufficient permissions. Like which part? Is it rules again, because we just updated the rules? Is it some authentication credential, something else, right? So here it will help if we can identify, further drill down what could be causing this error. And what I'm thinking is to copy this whole error and share entire error with Gemini. Okay, all of entire error I have basically. Is it all? Yeah, it's all. Okay, INK, pasted, written something and then removed it. Fine. Hey buddy, INK, I mean, you don't need to be shy. Like, we are all very cool here. Look, we can ask anything or say anything, unless it is like, something which you should not say in open public kind of a place, but otherwise, anything is fine. Okay. It seems that deploying the Firestore rules did not resolve the issue and you are still getting a permission and error. This is very strange, especially since the rules are set. The problem was live with the service account. How to check the permission on the service account and add the cloud data store role if missing. Okay, for that it's asking me to go to console cloud. So it is asking me to add a new role within my this thing. Okay, this thing looks a bit sensitive, so I am not gonna do this on my shared screen. Sorry, I'm gonna use my another monitor to add this role, and then I'll just I cannot show it, right? It looks like some sensitive stuff related to my like Google Cloud account. It's not even Firebase, it's my Google Cloud account, and which I don't want to leak any security related details in publicly, and it will be like forever there available on internet, and it can cause a lot of harm. Can I ask a question? What do you do for a living? No. So Anke is asking very interesting question. What do you do for a living? So Anke, I've been like a software developer for a fair bit of last 10 to 12 years, right? Work with startups, MNCs, and so on. Right now, I'm having my own company, right? And I'm building AI-based solutions for the businesses, building AI agents and things like that, right? So I'm basically kind of an entrepreneur, right? And an employee, a full-time employee turned entrepreneur. And yeah, that's about me, and would like to know about you as well. Okay, so let me do this part very quickly. I am an admin. Um, User. Okay, looks correct. Hmm. Okay, I guess I have added it, and it mentioned that I should deploy the function again. So let's do that. Which was here. Today I don't know what you're doing, but I'm interested to learn code. Can you please give me a suggestion how to start code from very basic? I'm a student of class 10th. Oh wow. So I'm very glad to know that you're interested in coding and you want to learn coding, which is actually a very good thing, especially even if we hear all the hype about vibe coding and AI doing a lot of stuff. You're doing, I mean, you are looking at yourself. I have the best model like Google 2.5 Pro. It's the SOTA, means SOTA, state of the art, right? But it cannot do everything. There are still things which humans have to do. It can definitely act as a force multiplier. It can help you do things fast, but there are still a lot of things which they models cannot do. Like especially they're quite efficient for building web apps like Next.js and so on. But when it comes to these kind of apps like mobile apps, Flutter app, Android apps, right? So there is a lot of moving parts here. Like for example, a cloud function which Google Gemini cannot access from here, right? A emulator to run and test the app, and so on, right? So it's still the ecosystem for building mobile apps using vibe coding is not that tightly integrated and very polished. So there are still issues there. Web apps, yes, it's quite easy to build the web apps now. Like literally, you can just give prompts and it will just keep on building it. Mobile apps, not so much. So that's what I'm showing you here already. Right. So yeah. So basically, what I was telling to INK is that he. Sorry, what was his question again? I don't know what you're doing, but I'm interested to learn code. Can you please give me a suggestion how to start code? Okay. So his question is, how do he start code? So if I talk about my own experiences, how I started coding, I was very fascinated with these websites, right? You see these, and by the way, at the time when I was like doing my engineering, and even a little before that, the browsers were so incapable. Like you cannot imagine how basic features the browsers had, and within that limited capability, what all can you achieve? Like, let me give you an example of something like a button with corner radius, right? With sort of so generally when you see a button, it is like a very sharp thing, right? But at the time when you want to create a button which has these like rounded corners, that used to be like a state of the art UI design, right? I still remember doing something like PSD slicing to create 9 guide slices and so on, like quite harrowing stuff. So what I'm trying to tell is you need to find a passion why you want to do that. My passion was to build these extraordinary looking websites, these great designed websites, all those like whatever designers were doing at the time with just the limited capability of the browser at that time was really mind-blowing for me. And I was really deeply interested in learning JavaScript, learning HTML, CSS itself. Like CSS3 was something of like out of ordinary, and most only very powerful browsers were able to render CSS3 stuff. We just had CSS 2.1, I guess, or something, right? So that's where I found my passion, looking at these very good looking websites. I got invested into learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and from that point it just kept on one thing after another. Once you build a front end, once you build a website, HTML, CSS, then you will naturally have a form or some sort of an interaction, which will require some processing to happen, some backend stuff. For example, here we are building an Android app, a Flutter app, and we are trying to do a travel planning, but the travel planning needs a mind of its own. Like especially the itinerary planning part, it needs some sort of a feature, some sort of a processing to happen, and that processing requires to be happening in the backend, right? So from there on, the need to work on the backend arises, and so that's how you sort of move from one thing to another. And once you start getting into backend, it's like a completely different area. And thankfully, I was still interested in working on backend as well. So I learned like building At that time, Ruby on Rails was quite a craze. Okay, so it was a new programming language. Like I was doing some WordPress PHP stuff, but then this Ruby on Rails, and there were more PHP frameworks, but I really did not wanted to work on anything other than anything on PHP any further. So I moved to Ruby on Rails. Was enjoying the framework. It had like some good DRY principles and so on, right? A very nice framework. Then from there, like then as per the job requirement and so on, like it just kept on from one thing to another, Java, Node.js and everything, right? So that's what kind of my story was, that how I started with programming and how it just kept on moving. The start was from a little bit of ignition, a fire, inspiration to follow on something, to follow on a passion, and that's the same advice I'll give you, right? So you have to find ignite within inside you, that why you want to learn it. You need to find a goal, you need to find a vision, that this is why I want to do it. One day I want to see myself doing it this way, that way, right? So yeah, so that's how it goes. Okay, where were we? So I did my roles adjustment, I redeployed my function, and let me try to run the app again. And as Ayanki has mentioned quite honestly that he is not able to understand what I'm doing, and I can really understand that the folks who have never done these things are like thinking, what the hell? But that's what it is, right? And I'm trying to be as much in detail as possible, but it's not like I can start teaching everything from zero, otherwise this app will take forever to build. So I'm just but you can always, any specific question particularly, like why you did this, why you did that, why this happened, that happened, I can answer it, but I cannot like go in from zero in each and every step, otherwise this app will take forever to build, which it is already taking anyways. Okay, so still we are trying to do London to Peru. Why Peru, why not Paris? Let's try Paris. Let's hope for the best. And logs again. Exact same error. This is quite a bit of error. Okay, let's try to take help from ChatGPT this time. Right. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say about it. That's a great pass. I know a little bit HTML, CSS, some basics of Python. That's good. So you're already on your way, right? You know HTML, CSS, and a Python means you can do front end, you can do back end, and one thing you need to understand is REST API, right? It's like a terminology, but if you know Python, you can do REST API. You can use frameworks like Flask, Fast API, and things like that, and that will help you integrate both of them together, and you just and that's it. You have like a quite functioning app, and then from there you can do microservices where one Flask app or Fast API app will talk to another app. They will have their own databases, will store their own information, right, and so on and so forth. It will just one thing will lead to another. Try to come up with some sort of a milestone based approach, like, okay, first app I'll build with these basic features, and the next app I'll build with a little bit more complicated things. Just keep on adding a bit of a layer by layer to things. Like don't try to build like a very very huge app all at once. Otherwise, you will have a lot of pieces, broken pieces, which will uh, make you feel very disheartened, right? So it's better to keep tasting a little bit of success as you go, so that way you'll be inspired, you'll enjoy it, you'll keep having fun. So it's all about just keep having fun. Okay, let's see what ChatGPT has to say. Rules blocking access. Oh, did I do request was not equal to null? No, not that. Now there's that stuff which I just did, but let me just reconfirm it. Its cloud data to user is added here. Ooh, not data store. Is it Firestore? Firestore. It's fine. And that's not the issue. The issue looks to me is related to this thing. Okay, so it seems the rules problem is not an issue. The issue is most likely with the roles. But why don't I just give it another go in the hopes that it may work? I don't know. Rerun it. Oh, actually, I'm your neighbor. Nice. How do you know that? Hmm. Oh, country's neighbor. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't know what to say for that. Erica. It's the same thing. 2347. Hey guys, I guess today I might have to end my stream with this issue itself, and because it's gonna take I'm pretty sure it's gonna take a fair amount of time, and the main problem is I'm hesitating to do few things here on the live stream, right? Like telling the entire thing to ChatGPT, sharing like quite a bit of details there in open in publicly. So, but I'll make sure once I solve this issue, I'll share the solution with you, and I'm pretty sure it's not permission issues are generally not so difficult. It's just about the exact thing the exact step, the exact configuration that you have to change to get get over these permission issues. Once I do that, this issue will be resolved, and we can keep making progress on our app, and we can continue building it from there. So I guess yep. That's it for today. Just to have a quick review. So we are actually still sitting on our milestone 1. Where is that develop MD on? So this develop MD file, right? We had sort of completed this milestone 1 with we have a Flutter app, running with a very basic UI, and then we are working on this milestone 2, which is itinerary generation engine, and this step requires this Flutter app to communicate with the Firebase backend, right? And then there is a bunch of things which has to be set up very properly for this whole integration to work, and that is where we are stuck right now, right? We were trying to fix the issue, and again the problem is not with vibe coding or with Gemini model or something. It's the configurations, it's the setup that needs to be done in a certain way, and AI cannot help you. You have to do it by yourself, right? So that's where we are. I will make sure I will set it up. I'll fix things, and I'll also test it a few times. Once it's working, in my next stream, I'll definitely first share with you what was the issue, how did I resolve it, and then we'll progress further with our app, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed about how we do vibe coding for this kind of apps, like mobile apps. Like, what is the process, what is the step, what is your responsibility, what is AI's responsibility, and of course what AI can do will do very fast. What you will do with your own speed, which will be like human is possible speed, right? So that's where we are, that's where the technology is, that's where the AI is. A lot of promises, a lot of big hype, but you see what's the reality. Anyways, I think that's about it, and until next time, see you there. Okay, bye bye.